It's a new patch, which means it's time for some new builds. What's up, summoners, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Nathan Ing, and this video will cover a bunch of new builds that you need to know about for this patch. We'll cover builds for every single role, so make sure you stay tuned. We'll kick things off with the top lane. The first build is for top lane Rengar. While he dips in and out of the top lane, one thing always stays the same. He does a ton of damage. With the extra kill pressure and mobility the brushes provide, Rengar top is not something that players should underestimate. This build is a variant that makes Rengar a bruiser who can tank an incredible amount of damage, but also deal enough to take down priority targets. It's always a struggle when you can't just ignore the tank because they have enough power to actually kill you. You can't ever let a Rengar sit on top of your carries, and this build provides a nice blend of both damage and tankiness. So, for runes, you're going to want to run Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Bloodline, Last Stand, Bow Plating, Revitalize, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and your choice of a defensive rune. For items, you want to build Trinity Force, Ionian Boots of Lucidity, Steric's Gauge, Death's Dance, Spirit Visage, and Ravenous Hydra. A nice bonus that comes with this build is that you're able to take down turrets relatively quickly. The buffs to Trinity Force have made it so much better for crushing turrets to dust, and having multiple options available to you is always nice. With Rengar's ultimate, you can also become a bit harder to catch out, meaning that enemies trying to catch you and stop the pressure might come back empty-handed. Next is another top lane build, and this time it's for Jace. We'll be starting off by talking about the build. Your runes are going to be Conqueror, Presence of Mind, Legend Bloodline, Coup de Grace, Magical Footwear, Biscuit Delivery, Double Adaptive Force, and your choice of a defensive rune. For items, rush Sheen and Tear of Goddess, and then finish Trinity Force, build Ionian Boots of Lucidity, and finish off with a Manamune. After those three completed items, you can finish the build with Sorelda's Grudge, Chemtank Chainsword, and a Guardian Angel. When the top lane is full of tanks and immobile champions, you can utilize this build to beat up enemies and use Jace's insane early game to create leads. The combination of Trinity Force and Conqueror makes it nearly impossible to win a fight against Jace. Jace has very high AD ratios because of his 2 Q casts, and the immense amount of bonus AD from both Trinity Force and Conqueror make him quite oppressive to play against. This build is also great on Jace because of the bonus movement speed that Trinity Force provides. It allows players to kite in range form and also chase down enemies trying to escape Jace's kill pressure. As the game progresses, the additional purchases of Sorelda's Grudge and Chemtank Chainsword add some well-needed armor penetration as well as grievous wounds. The other great part about this build is how much power it adds to your split pushing. Jace is very good at it because of his ranged form's W. It allows him to deal solid DPS to turrets, and he can also switch into hammer form for some bonus damage. Trinity Force makes taking turrets even easier, meaning that if you aren't confident that your team can win a 5v5 fight, you can stick to the side lane and try to win the game by yourself. Also, here's our question of the day. Which non-meta champion do you find the most fun to play? I'm a sucker for Swain. It's really satisfying pulling enemies in with his passive. Landing a W and E feels awesome, and it's also really fun to run in like a maniac while playing an AP champion. Let me know your answers in the comments down below. That'll be concluding our top lane build, so make sure you take a last look on the screen because we got them up for you. Moving forward, let's go ahead and talk about the jungle builds. While he's heavily underplayed, Trundle is making a slow but steady comeback. As a counter to the rise of tank junglers like Zac and Rammus, who are recently buffed, we've got a build for League's notorious ultimate anti-tank champion. For this build, you'll use Phase Rush, Nimbus Cloak, Celerity, Water Walking, Triumph, Legend Tenacity, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and Armor. As for items, you'll buy Stridebreaker, Ionian Boots of Lucidity, Spirit Visage, Deadman's Plate, Steric's Gauge, and Gargoyle's Stone Plate. As for which jungle item you wish to purchase, it's ultimately up to you. Challenging Smite provides some extra true damage, which is great for taking any skirmish, but Chilling Smite can help you close the gap and continuously smack your enemies. Although Stridebreaker isn't as popular as Frostfire Gauntlet, it's a powerful purchase that can work in nearly every situation. Trundle has a lot of damage packed into his kit. Q and W increase damage output, while R shreds through resistances. The only issue is that you need to be able to get in melee range of your opponents and stay there afterwards. Stridebreaker also helps to work around this issue. Whether you use it to initiate your follow-up and chase down enemies, the added mobility is so good to have, especially when playing Trundle, who doesn't really have built-in gap closers. Trundle is likely going to become a more popular pick, especially when tank junglers are receiving buffs. Even if he's not the meta, Trundle is a solid pocket pick to have when you're ready to hard counter certain team compositions. By the way, if you want to learn about how to carry your games, like trying to split push, be sure to check out ProGuides.com. We've got a ton of coaches who can help you out, so you don't want to miss out. For our next build, we have something pretty spicy for Warwick. This build focuses on making Warwick a tanky hybrid damage dealer. So yes, he gets a ton of different stats, and while it may be weird, it definitely works. For runes, use Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Alacrity, Last Stand, Nimbus Cloak, Celerity, Double Adaptive Force, and Armor. You have Conqueror for some extra damage output, and Last Stand is probably the best choice of the 3 runes in the tier. Since Warwick naturally wants to tank damage and heal it back up over the course of the fight, you're going to want to spend a lot of time at somewhat low health. Make sure you maximize the value by taking Last Stand. Now for the items, you actually want to build Demonic Embrace because of Warwick's high AP ratio on Q and for the bonus resistances. This item alone can provide a solid amount of armor and magic resist, especially considering that you're building it rather early on in the game. As the game progresses, you can build more health to become even tankier. With enemies already struggling to burst you down, you can continue to take advantage of Warwick's drain tank nature and fight your way through otherwise certain death. Although Warwick isn't a popular pick, he's finding a solid amount of success and it feels like a lot of players are sleeping on him. His healthy jungle clear makes him an especially safe pick, as he'll be able to take on invading enemy junglers with relative ease. That's it for the jungle, so make sure you take another look at the screen for the recap of the builds. Now, let's talk about the mid lane. For our mid lane build, we have one for LeBlanc. For this explanation, I'll start off with the runes and items. Make sure to run Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection or Zombie Ward, Ravenous Hunter, Biscuit Delivery, Time Warp Tonic, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and your defensive rune of choice. If you don't value the attack speed for last hitting resistance, run double Adaptive Force instead. For items, you want to build Everfrost, Sorcerer's Shoes, Horizon Focus, Void Staff, Morellonomicon, and a Rabadon's Death Cap. You can also build items like a Medjai's or a Zhonya's depending on your preference or the situation. If you build a Morello 5th, make sure you finish the build with Rabadon's. Medjai's is a great substitute for Morellos if you don't need the healing reduction. Otherwise, you can build it early on when you're ahead and you want to continue to snowball the lead. The primary focus of this build is to be able to one-shot enemies, which, that's what LeBlanc is meant to do. But using Everfrost further increases your engage range. You can lead with Everfrost against nearby enemies, or use your W first and cast Everfrost against targets who are further away from you. After they're slowed, you can tag them with your E to trigger Horizon Focus and proceed to delete them from a game. That's it for the mid lane. We'll put the build up for you guys one more time, so take a look one last time before we move on to our final bot lane combo. Alright, so for the bottom lane and support players, we have a bot lane duo for you. While underplayed, Kog'Maw is a pick that you can't count out altogether. He was buffed back in patch 11.5, and while he's nowhere near popular, he's still a safe pick that can find plenty of success. There's no denying that Kog'Maw's damage output is up there, but his biggest value is that he lacks mobility. Compared to his biggest competition, Jinx, it can be a lot harder to pop off since he doesn't get excited and gain bonus movement speed on takedowns. More importantly, he lacks the crazy girlfriend vibes, which I'm kind of about, but not too crazy, Jinx is bae. To help him get around these issues, you can run Nami with him. Bonus movement speed, slows on basic attacks, and some excellent peel can go a long way, and you could wave all his weaknesses goodbye. Nami's also quite bubbly. She's not girlfriend, she's a fish. What makes this duo so strong is that when put together, they're very impressive in lane. You can have Kog'Maw's high range paired with Nami's slow on basic attacks, kind of pair well together. After or during trades, Nami can also provide healing with her W, making them strong at a point that Kog'Maw is supposed to be the weakest. Of course, as the game progresses, Kog'Maw scales up and can absolutely destroy the enemy team. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start talking about builds with Kog'Maw. For runes, run Lethal Tempo, Overheal, Legend Alacrity, Coup de Grace, and either Biscuit Delivery and Approach Velocity for some extra sustain, or Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for better scaling. Approach Velocity works because you have Nami to provide the extra slows. The stat runes are Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and your choice of a defensive rune. Item purchases are Immortal Shield Bow, Berserker's Greave, Phantom Dancer, Navori Quick Blades, Infinity Edge, and either Bloodthirster or GA as a defensive item. While this build might seem a little bit odd, the reason that you want to build it is for the crit as it synergizes with Navori Quick Blades. This item will make sure that you always have your W up. Its passive will make sure that you can permanently stay at max range during fights, so there's a lot less to worry about. Pretty genius if you ask me. For Nami, you'll run Summon Aerie, Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, Scorch, Biscuit Delivery, Cosmic Insight, Double Adaptive Force, and a Situational Defensive rune. For items, build Spell Thief's Edge, Imperial Mandate, Ionian Boost of Lucidity, Staff of Flowing Water, and either an Ardent Censer or Kemptic Putrefier. If your team lacks AP damage, replace the Staff of Flowing Water with another purchase such as Redemption. Ultimately, this duo can relatively scale up because they complement each other very well early on. Winning lane as a hypercarry is a huge blessing and provides some well-needed consistency. We'll put those builds up for you guys one more time, so take a last look at them. That'll be wrapping up our Korean builds for patch 11.8. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and also check out the description for a link to join our Discord. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.